Hi there, it's Mr. Clark. Welcome to Lesson Medieval.1.3 on the medieval staff and clefs. So, um, we have the Dacian notation, which was found in a couple manuscripts, the Musica in Curiatus and the Scholica in Curiatus. But then it's not a super useful way when you have to indicate like where every single note is and label it. But this notation likely inspired this monk named Guido from Arezzo around the year 1000 with inventing the staff as we understand it today. As with many people who are credited with inventing things, he didn't come up with the idea himself. Again, we saw this kind of some sort of early staff notation in those treatises, but he had some key innovations and kind of brought them together, whether those innovations came from him or other people, into a system that really worked and put his name on the product. So we're going to take a look on the textbook here because it's in color. So he came up with a 4-line staff where lines and spaces are both pitches. This is pretty common across a lot of manuscripts, but there are also some staves that have 5 or 6 lines. At the beginning, he put a clef, clef meaning key, and indicated where the note C or F happened. So, can't really indicate with my mouse, I don't think, on here. But at the beginning of each staff, after the big red O, you see a C in that first space. If you look down at the second staff, there's a C still in that first space. And that is, hey, this is where the note C is. And then also to help, if F was on a line, he colored it red. If C was on a line, it was colored yellow or green, which was intended to help orient the reader. Something like this still happens on modern harps, where the strings for C and F are colored different colors. I think C is black and F is red. I could have that reversed. I'm not positive. But that is still a thing that helps you orient, because when you have just a bunch of undifferentiated strings in a row, it's hard to know where you are. So Guido was thinking the same thing for the staff. Yellow-green quickly fell out of favor because there wasn't a lot of pigments available that would produce a good color, and it's really kind of redundant because if the clef shows you where notes are, then you don't need the line. So the red line also disappeared gradually. So in this case, we're going to go back to here. When we don't need color anymore. Start out with color, no more color. So you have this fancy C, which if you're writing, I'm fine with just something like that, or even like that, as long as it looks kind of like a C. And that shows the location of what we understand now to be C4, or middle C. So as a result, you get the lines D, F, A, and C, and E, G, B. So you have these lines and spaces. Great. You can also have an F clef, which there's like an extra line there. Usually I see it drawn as like 3 squares, kind of like that, which I don't know, I'd kind of go for. But that indicates the location of F3, so the F below middle C. So you have B, D, F, and A, C, E, and G. And these clefs are movable. They can appear on any line of the staff. So like you could put the F clef down here. Got an F clef down here. So now it's F, A, C, E, and G, B, D. Great, amazing. And so depending on manuscript to manuscript, they might look different. And these eventually do develop into the modern C and F clefs. So your C clef turns into your modern C clef, and then your F clef eventually turns into your bass clef. It gets flipped around at some point. Not sure when that happens. But so at the time, to be clear, you have all the information you need to complete the exercises now. This is just historical background. At the time, Guido's inventions had a mixed reception. Charlemagne, who was recently crowned Holy Roman Emperor by the Pope, wanted everyone in his kingdom, which is modern-day France, to sing Catholic chants the way they were sung in Rome, because, you know, the Pope just said, "Hey, you're the emperor now." So he's like, "Okay, we should probably do things like the Pope's doing them in Rome." Um, and part of the idea was that the chants that were sung in Rome were handed down directly from God. So probably want to sing the chants how God said to chant them. Um, but, or rather, so he had singers from Rome go out to his kingdom, go out to modern day France, and teach his people how to sing the chants correctly. But there was a bit of a kerfuffle because the Frankish singers were still not singing them the way that they were sung in Rome. The Franks blamed the Romans for deliberately teaching them incorrectly, and the Romans blamed the Franks for being bad students and just not learning. Uh, so there was a bit of a disagreement there. But then Guido comes along and he's like, okay, well, here's a system of notation that makes it very clear what you're supposed to sing. So you'd think everyone would be happy. But in fact, everyone was not happy. At the time, he was considered a nuisance and a threat and was actually evicted from his monastery due to his disruptive musical practices. And this is kind of a traditionalist sort of thing, where it was an esteemed position to hand down the chants by rote, learning by ear, to the next generation. And these singers had a lot of power in their communities. But Guido threatened to upend this power structure because now anyone could learn chants. You didn't have to go through these power brokers. So there was actually a lot of pushback at this time. But as we know, the usefulness of the staff notation soon became apparent, and it was widely used moving forwards and is still used in the modern day.